Can't believe it. How rude.
That was quite rude, actually.
Trying to enjoy a good meal in the cafe, and bam, there's Orisa.
There is Orisa, and that means that there's a bunker composition on the side of the Melbourne Mavericks. Mercedes on to the Ash. We've seen him on Widow, we've seen him on Hanzo, and a Symmetra from Lab. Interesting. Looks like he's got Lush out there nice and early, maybe to look for a hook, but he swapped over to the Zenyatta now, and it is going to be bunker all round.
Yeah, that just seemed to be a bit of a cheeky one from Legacy.
You know, it's actually not a bad idea. When you throw that Symmetra teleporter down, often that the defensive team is holding there early just to get that spawn room peek in. And if they stay there for a little too long, maybe a Roadhog in your face is what you don't want to see if you're the defenders.
Not wrong.
So I like the idea, but unfortunately, Mavericks are on that bunker composition, so they won't be doing that offensive peek. And we see Flying Luigi back on the Pharah.
Mercedes is up to almost 50% of Bob already. A lot of work being done. Just in terms of the poke damage, it's all gone through to Fundray. No Fortify available apparently.
You really need to be good at micromanaging your cooldowns there as the Orisa to avoid these hold-hook combinations, or even just the hooks in general when your shield breaks. And unfortunately, he's not able to do it there, so he gets punished for it. Lab in a hiding position.
Gotta be very sneaky.
He can come out the top with his hands crossed, doing the fireball pose, and really put some damage in there if you can get over that shield.
I remember a great one a few seasons ago. It was Molotov onto Hunter.
Yeah, there's been a few epic battles between those two players.
That got a great reaction from yours truly.
Yeah, it was a similar position too.
It certainly was. Straight into the cafe, but not going to happen this time. Lab's still able to do a little bit of damage, but into Noosh maybe to be the one to really open things up here. The whole hook combo not really having much of an effect just yet. Bob now onto the point for Mercedes. Is it going to be enough though already? Legacy finding picks. Mercedes going to have to go absolutely monster mode here. Morbid would be able to pick Nidus back up, but there are plenty of Legacy players.
Forget about Mercedes. Nidus has gone monster mode on the Roadhog.
I don't know what's happened there at all. It seemed like
a celebration ult too.
Just all disappeared.
Yeah, they did. The Nano Boost comes out to that Roadhog, makes him very tanky, very hard to dislodge, and Ike still playing around here. He's on the flank. Legacy aren't giving up on this fight just yet.
Got the pick on a Mercedes, so credit where it's due. But this just seems like all over the place for Legacy. Some in, some out. Commit to the point, and then where did Legacy go? Did they think they'd already won the point and they might have started to rest on their laurels a little bit? Well, Runny has found Morbid, straight away slept after that, so it's a 1-for-1. At the end, the bongos do drop. So does Ike. Another Angel won by Mercedes. The rest of Legacy, however, is putting in good work, and it seems unlikely that Mercedes will be able to salvage this one. Legacy finally capping the point up.
Yeah, and that was back on the Noosh 2K. Even Runny gets in. He uses the Rocket Barrage. Morbid panic presses the ultimate, but that's not going to help you in that situation. The sleep dart from Izzy Boy just came a second too late. And now we see the bunker compositions. They're still holding on to these. So they're maybe not confident on Ghost in this point. It's kind of an odd composition to play here. It's certainly hard to play the Pharah, but Runny swapped it up for a Bastion. This is a really interesting decision because he can get flanked so easily by these two snipers, but at the same time, it is going to be hard to push him off this cart.
I'm a fan of what I'm seeing. I enjoy it. That said, maybe Melbourne Mavericks do not. They've run straight into Rani. That is not fun at all. He's able to hold down that left click and just decimate the Melbourne Mavericks players as they try to filter through a fairly enclosed angle.
See Mercedes on the flank. He gets punished by Ike. What a shot. Noosh has got 2K with the Roadhog ult to clean the fight up. That was beautiful game sense from Ike. I wonder if you heard him.
He's turned him on. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. Young Ike. He's got the walls advantage here too coming out. So this is going to be a hard retake for the side of the Melbourne Mavericks.
It certainly is, particularly if Rani's going to be able to set up in a good position here, which it seems he has. Holt is able to lock Nidus up for long enough that Rani, holding down the left click, is going to put some real big damage on through, and there is the tank form as well. Izzy Boy says see you later, and perhaps we'll be seeing the same thing for Flying Luigi's as well. Rani, once again, sets up on top of the payload, and it doesn't really look so much like a limousine anymore as it does a tank. Have quite experience casting a game like that.
That's quite polite of Ike to let the Widowmaker get a few peeks in there. Gives him a chance, but then takes his head straight off. Mercedes, unfortunately, hasn't had the luck he had earlier in these Widow duels.
Maybe someone slipped Ike a little DM in the break there and said Elfishguy thought Mercedes was getting the better of you in the 1v1 Widow duels, because that seems to have flipped on its head straight away once we're on to Hollywood.
Yeah, Mercedes has chosen to get off it and go straight onto Genji.
Oh,
Morbid
what a
gets the
great
pick onto
hook.
Ike.
Noosh is doing such a great amount of work with these hooks, though. I just don't know if it's to get the pick onto Nidus. Oh, run straight into Rani. It's a good crossfire for Legacy, and Stolen is still just sitting there pocketing Rani, and there's nothing, absolutely nothing that Melbourne Mavericks can do about it until Mercedes finally gets in on top of him with that Genji. Still, it's much more favourable for Legacy at this point. Whole Hog is out now, and that is going to get rid of 3. Legacy continue this push forward. Damn, this is something else.
The sheer damage output of that Roadhog ultimate powered by that Bongo from Orisa, the Orisa ultimate, that's so deadly. Even at long range, getting hit by that hurts so much. And now we see the Winston swap from Dank, but he's already gone down. Rani set up on the high ground, gets slept, but Mercedes goes down to lab in the meantime.
Having a nap. Wake up! Wake up, Rani! You need to finish the map. It's not over yet. Tank form is available. He's actually going to force the trans out from Morbid. Here indeed is tank form, and that is a nice shot onto Flying Luigi.
He's down again!
Another sleep dart. Well done from Issy Boy to continue to shut down the Bastion, but even still, is it going to be enough? Legacy have far too many members on this point, it seems, as there is now finally a Dragon Blade coming across from Mercedes, and this could well be enough to force Legacy back. Stolen Picnic gets caught, and at the 11th hour, Melbourne Mavericks just able to staunch the flow.
Yeah, Issy Boy really bailing his team out there with those sleep darts. Once that Bastion gets into that high ground position, it's so hard to push him off. It takes so much time to rotate up there and push him off. But now Mercedes will pull up, and he's matching Bastion with Bastion. Mike's gone to the Zarya now, though.
Bastion with Bastion, I can't believe it. Never thought I'd hear the day here in Overwatch Contenders. Well, that's an EMP from Nidus, and a damn good one as well. Self-destruct following that didn't really do a whole lot of damage. Regardless, though, it is pretty straightforward here for Melbourne Mavericks to finish this one off with the amount of picks that they got at the start of the fight. Nidus is doing a really nice job, actually, of building more EMP charge back up to 30%, even after using it in that last fight. But that's the only ultimate Melbourne Mavericks really had to work with, and I suppose you could say the same for Legacy. There's not really much there.
Mercedes is still choosing to stay on this Bastion. It is a hero that can get overrun by this Legacy Esports roster on the GOATS composition. If they can use the defense matrix and that 2000 HP Rhine shield to get on top of the Bastion, it can be quite hard to play. Legacy now rotating.
This is a bit of a difficult point, though, to run over the Bastion with all the high ground able to be played by Mavericks, and that is a nice Earth Shatter on through. That said, Stolen Picking actually does catch Mercedes. The rest of Legacy going to pile in on top of Melbourne Mavericks. The Graviton Surge from Ike is a good one and collects quite a few players, and well, colour me not too surprised as Legacy are able to finish the map off with time available.
Yeah, the Bastion in theory is great versus GOATS. You know, you're doing the
In
high
theory.
impact damage, but it is in theory. In execution, it's quite difficult to set the Bastion up in the position, because as soon as that GOATS composition gets close enough to you, you're forced to rotate. And when you're rotating as Bastion, when you're running around outside of that tank form, it can be quite difficult. You're very vulnerable.
Maybe they should just play Reaper instead.
Why hasn't anyone thought of that?
I don't know.
Play double shotguns. He's got 2 guns. That's OP.
Got 2 guns. You get close against a GOATS composition. I don't see what could be the problem. You know what I've always wondered about these CCTV cameras? Actually, apparently GSTV. Is that
Goldshire TV, I think.
they're always looking at the same thing. Look, there's 2 screens there that are showing the car and 2 screens that are showing Phase B. Why haven't you got more cameras?
Simply don't have the budget for that, actually. We just got the screens. We got a good deal on the screens, but we didn't get a good deal on the cameras.
Apparently.
Unfortunate. And they don't show the live action, too. Otherwise, we could just sit here on this beautiful angle and watch the whole thing play out.
Yeah, it doesn't look too high res, to be honest. Be a bit tough to see exactly what's happening there. You might see a few ults going in.
Budget cuts were rough.
They were.
Goldshire. It all went on that money for the bloke in the limo.
That bloke in the limo.
Yep.
28 seconds, though, is all that Legacy ended with as we get a pause.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it seemed like a pretty dominant second phase from Legacy Esports, and the first phase went back and forth for a while, but they ended up capturing it with, I think, a minute remaining or something. So that means that they get a few extra minutes to play with in that second phase, and I think they would have liked to cap the map a little bit faster, especially after getting such a clean second phase.
Well, it was that final wipe that they had actually pushing into point C. If that would have collected, like if that would have been collected, they probably would have had a minute and a half or even potentially 2 minutes. But because it takes them so long to get back, even after getting cleaned up in a whole fight, that's where I think you're losing a lot of the time there for Legacy. Nonetheless, though, I don't think you'd be too disappointed with 28 seconds there as a Legacy, particularly with their aptitude that they showed defending points on Volskaya. They were able to hold Melbourne Mavericks for quite a while, even into the time bank, you know, when they were able to hold point A the second time for over a couple of minutes. It's not something to really scoff at for Legacy, and Melbourne Mavericks are going to have to think about what they want to do here.
No, certainly nothing to scoff at all. We've seen the Orisa composition be more favoured on defense, and that's something that Legacy really like to play. So if they can play it on defense and execute it the same way they did on Volskaya, it's going to be a nice little matchup. I don't know if Mercedes and the crew have the answers on the side of the Melbourne Mavericks for this defensive bunker. Nush has been an absolute menace on that Roadhog.
Seems as though someone is having some internet issues, Smash, so we might be here for a little while chatting about all the good things that are happening in the Overwatch Contenders at the moment. For Melbourne Mavericks, yeah, they certainly need to turn things around in this series. They started off so well, picking up Ilios 2-0. It really looked like Legacy was all over the place, but we theorized that Control hasn't been the map for Legacy this season at all. They've really struggled on that so far, and well, they're 0-7 now after that result. But straight back onto Volskaya, we were looking at that one and saying, hey, actually, it's not over yet for Legacy, particularly if they do have a decent game here on Volskaya, which they did. Now we're right back into things on Hollywood, and Melbourne Mavericks are going to be, I would say, quietly worried here after seeing Legacy be able to cap that entire map out with some time left.
Ike gets all the information here sitting at that spawn door. He's going to be able to tell his team exactly what's coming at them. And it is going to be the Orisa. It's going to be the Flying Luigi's Pharah. He played well on Ilios. He needs to play equally well now, otherwise these teams are going to struggle.
See him straight back up into the air. Ike looking for...
It's the double main tank from Legacy. Got the Fundre Winston and the Nush, not on the Roadhog, on the Orisa.
That has become somewhat standard, though, in the last couple of weeks. Running on Bastion's going to have 2 shields to help him out, not to mention the Immortality field. And Mercedes gets knocked over pretty early indeed. Solon goes down low, but Immortality field was available.
Yeah, Esports hit a nice anti-nade there, but they were just not able to catch her. And Flying Luigi's is now picked off Lab. Thunder is sleeping in the background too, so this could be an opening here for the side of the Melbourne Mavericks.
Good, but with Esports dropping there as well, it's actually a 2-for-1 trade favouring Legacy. Now make that 3-for-1 Flying Luigi's. One of the last bastions of hope here for Melbourne Mavericks, but is definitely doing some good damage as we do see a tick go up on the board for them now. And Legacy starting to lose a lot of health. Dives right on through. Fundre was safe in the Winston bubble, but not for too long. And now Rocket Barrage is certainly going to be the end of Rani. No one is doing anything about this Pharah, and it doesn't seem anyone will be able to do anything about this Pharah. Yeah,
you leave your Pharah completely unchecked. It doesn't look to have any plans against it either. Maybe they weren't expecting it after seeing him get off it and play more D.Va and other heroes, but that's interesting that they're not quite prepared for this Pharah. Ike now with that EMP. Rani swaps over to the Brigitte, so they do have the tools to deal with this Pharah now.
Ignitus is going to be a good one. 4 players collected there. Ike does have the EMP available though, so if Legacy are able to survive through this one, there'll be a counter engage from them for sure to hack through onto Noosh.
All this time, Fundre's been stalling the cart, so this cart hasn't gone anywhere. Maybe they forgot about it. Mercedes goes down early to Noosh, and that's going to be a hard comeback for that fight with Ike eyeing off this EMP.
Yeah, is it even really time to try and fight this one out as Melbourne Mavericks, as they kind of just back away? Mercedes has swapped over onto Widowmaker. Is the rest of Melbourne Mavericks going to persist on through with this composition? Looks like Flying Luigi's is happy to stay on the Pharah.
Yeah, they are running that one tank, but Ike with the EMP is going to be the answer here. Is he going to be able to get a big one?
The Nano Boost went through onto Dank, and it's Mercedes to start the fight off well with a headshot onto Ike.
Quite an odd composition. Stolen on the walls. That's not where you want to be versus the Widow, Pharah, and the Monkey. He's got so much peel on those walls. And Flying Luigi's is raining terror from above here.
Certainly is. Fundre low, looking
for
the health
he stole
kit.
The health pack.
Yeah.
Bush has done his fella dirty there.
He has indeed, although it was one or the other, I suppose. It's either me or you, as what Noosh has said. Flying Luigi's is certainly doing some real work here on the Farah. It's just an absolute trickle of kills, which is exactly what you want to see when you're on the attack. Legacy need to sort themselves out. They need to get that full reset so that they can actually properly contest.
And they've swapped on over now. They've got the hit scan player of Rani on the Ashe. They've got Fundre on the Orisa, Nush on the Roadhog, so they have swapped it up to deal with this Farah. We've seen a lot of play out of this, but Ike with the EMP won't get enough here, it looks like.
Well, he collects quite a few Melbourne Mavericks players. Dankel fall and Flying Luigi's. Looks like his wings have been clipped as Lab finishes him off. And the rest of Melbourne Mavericks may fall as a result as well. Now that that star player is down.
But they capped the point!
Mercedes, oh, well, you're right, Smash, you're right. I was just about to start going about Mercedes having a nice angle, but it does not matter. Legacy. What do you say at that point?
The only thing that angle achieved was he got a good view of that car pushing in, that's for sure.
He did.
Legacy not getting on the point in time, and now 4 minutes for the Melbourne Mavericks, and Mercedes has swapped on over. He's going to park himself on top of that Mercedes and have a nice position with the Bastion.
This is definitely a futuristic looking Mercedes, that's for sure.
It's definitely not a Mercedes, but
it's got a big gun on top of it too. I'm not sure whether we're in that department, but regardless, Rani with a headshot. It's Nidus to drop, and Hulk goes flying through. That's from Melbourne Mavericks. Seems to have caught quite a few Legacy players, and Mercedes gets hooked straight in, but he's got a nano boost, and everyone runs away. Legacy are not too keen on fighting this one at all, and Fundre, even despite the fact that he is an Orisa, you're not going to be able to out-damage a Bastion in a name duel like that. It's all over for Legacy. Melbourne Mavericks have taken a very fast cap.
And they've one-upped them. 3 minutes left on the clock on Hollywood. That's a dream come true for the side of the Melbourne Mavericks. They could double their map score right here, right now.
This is a turn of the tables, really, from what we saw on Volskaya.
Certainly is. And the indecision there from Legacy. What comp did they want to run? Did they want to run the Roadhog? Did they want to run the Orisa Winston? It was a bit of indecision caused a bad first, second point. That second point cap, everything really punished them there. They had the fight pretty much won, but they just didn't put the men on the point. And that led to a poor third phase because they just were unprepared to deal with what was coming in on that Bastion.
So lots of thinking to be done for Legacy now. You really essentially have one shot at getting point A.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult. 0 ults versus 0 ults when you're running this bunker composition. It's really going to be up to Nush on the Roadhog. Him and Fundre need to get the opening pick here. Flying Luigi's need to be very careful, as Ike and Rani have selected 2 Farah counters, potentially. Didn't seem to phase him last round.
No, not too much. I think he only died one time. And that
Yeah,
was
I think it was
right
on the
at
second,
point
yeah.
B.
Now, we see some swap-ups from Legacy. They are going to play the Ana here. Lozen Yara. They didn't go for the cheeky teleport this time. Already Ike's being pressured out by Nidus. So Nidus would have given his team the information and know what they're playing against, and they'll position accordingly. You see Flying Luigi's flying on the flank, avoiding the team fight, but Mercedes gets hooked straight away.
But, I thought he was going to survive actually. Lab does luckily get the headshot through there, so maybe something here for Legacy to speak to. Nidus will drop as well, slowly but surely, as the hooks start to come across again for Noosh. Do see Legacy building some control on the first point. The Mavericks continue to stream on in. Another hook through. It's Fundre to get Issy Boy, but Noosh will be the one that collects the payload on Dank. So 2 ticks already collected here for Legacy as well. It's just a matter of time before they do cap it out.
And Ike gets 3 kills there, all headshots. So he's feeling himself. Mercedes has swapped over onto the Widowmaker, who Ike's pushed up too far and get caught by Nidus.
That's not the time to get caught either, is it?
No, but it looks
overtime.
like, I don't think they'll get punished just because they backspawn from the Melbourne Mavericks means they're not in position to capitalize on it, I think.
Push came to shove as well. Solon Picnic is there with Mercy. I'm not sure that was a resable one, but still something to consider. Bomb's going to go through on both sides, and it's better for Legacy. Fundre's caught him, and Noosh is going to collect the rewards for it. As the rest of the Melbourne Mavericks try to push on forward. I mean, look at Flying Luigi's. He's trying to go literally anywhere, and he can't get anything done. Ike with a good shot does give us a wave as well.
It's so scary to play Farah into these 2 hit scan heroes. Plus the Orisa shield, you have to get at the right angle to get damage in, and I think that maybe he'd be better off swapping to the Roadhog like Nush has, and because Nush has got some big value out of this Roadhog pick.
Yep.
With the Hold Hook combination plus just the sheer damage output on the enemy Orisa shield means that his snipers have a lot better time. Ike gets another headshot pick off.
Well, this is the real danger.
And another one!
Oh my god, I don't know what Ike is on at the
Oh
moment.
my
He's got
lord!
What is happening? He's around the side now as well. He probably gets Dank here. AC Boy,
Oh!
yes, he hits the shot. Oh my god! He got Dank as well.
We
That's-
certainly like Ike now.
Woo-hoo. I don't know what to say about that one, Smash, but this might actually be a map completion for Legacy now as well. Look, they can spawn camp Melbourne Mavericks.
Ike gets 5 in the fight. Most headshots too. He fluffs a shot there as we move to the camera, but
That's always how it is, isn't it?
it certainly is.
Well, won't miss that one.
Yeah, makes no mistake there. But will he lose the Mercy Jewel? No, he doesn't even go for it. Oh, but you need to win those.
You gotta hit those. He's hitting everything, really. It
He
feels
really
like.
is.
Well, I just don't know what to say about this one for Melbourne Mavericks. You are going to be feeling awful right now on that squad, aren't you?
Well, they've banked up 6 ultimates, so this is their best chance of pushing against them here. The Bob goes out. Where is it?
Who knows? It's a great question. Rani's dead, though. Midas is going to find that without even having to invest the EMP. Rani's still got Bob available, though, and seems to be doing some damage. It's Legacy. They're continuing to win fights as long as they don't get off this payload. They're going to be able to finish the map. They're certainly going to be able to finish the map now, Smash, surely. Look at how far they've gotten. Even if they don't, they might as well have.
I thought Legacy wasted a few ultimates there with the Bob going out, not really achieving anything until Mercedes walked back into it. Nidus comes out with the EMP, but is it too early? The Transcendent's there to answer from Lab.
Yeah, Ike's just going to jump straight on into that one. The safe loving arms of the Zenyatta, who also will delete Dank out of the picture, which gives Ike a bit more freedom here on the Widowmaker. Not that it seems to be too necessary. The rest of Legacy doing the dirty work in this fight, and I cannot believe it. But Legacy have pushed the entire map in overtime.
Well, give them an inch and they'll take a mile, and they took a few miles there as they get the cut all the way to the end. 6 points.
Well,
That is going to be a difficult task for the Melbourne Mavericks to answer that.
yeah, even with 3 minutes 42, it's like you're going to still have to push half of the map in overtime. Oh, well, that is something special from Legacy.
And it's all on the back of that Ike Widowmaker. He got a few picks on the first point, but that second point he really came alive. It's 5 in one fight. That is disgusting value out of one hero.
Yeah, not really sure what to say. As I've said before, I'm a bit speechless when something like that happens.
Well, you certainly weren't speechless while I was going off.
Yeah, well, gotta
You were
get
squawking
excited.
like the family budgie.
What did you call that one?
I think we had one called Peter, and we had one called
Sounds
Louis
about
or
right.
something.
He never stops talking either.
Yeah, well, that's true. Melbourne Mavericks deciding to answer with a dive composition at the moment. Legacy have shown such proficiency on this bunker composition. Nush's Roadhog has been excellent. Fundre, again, has been solid on that hero.
Yeah.
In the Orisa.
Ike's still on Widowmaker, so that's a bit scary.
Ike's terrifying on the Widowmaker.
It looks like we've gone to Area 51 Smash. Have you signed up for that?
I actually have.
Oh,
I will
yeah?
be one of the Zoomers heading in. Might be
And I could make a
flossing
meme
on
out of that. Me and my alien friend that I saved from Area 51 casting Overwatch Contenders.
Possibly could, actually. That'd be a good one. Might be next week.
I'm sure Hunter will probably cook that one up in the lab. Anyway, here comes the Hold Hook combo, and it's, well, not the start that Legacy was really looking for, as Noosh gets dropped really low, takes a breather, back up to full HP safely. Scary moment for Legacy, that is for sure, but they do salvage it. Now the dive through, but the Winston Bubble's going to stop the hook. Dank still under pressure. Noosh once again has to just fall back to the safety of his healers. Flying Luigi's will lose the mech early on in the piece, and Ike now with his first kill of the round. How many more are we going to see?
He's chasing this Ana. He really wants it. Is he going to nail the shots? No, he hits the shield. Misses everything. Unfortunate for Ike. He used up all his good Widow luck earlier, it seems. But Melbourne Mavericks, they don't build enough ultimates there to be happy. They've got, sure, they've got 82% on Nidus's ultimate, but they don't really have anything to combine with it. They don't have the nano boost. The blade is country mile away. So.
It's starting to get there for Legacy, however.
Ike has his ultimate ready to go, so he's doing a lot of damage that fight.
Infrasight. Hold Hook combo once again blocked by the Winston Bubble, but Infrasight is thrown in, which is just going to buy a bit more time here.
Well, Mercedes has used his kit. He's very vulnerable here now. Ike
around the corner.
unfortunately can't capitalize on it. But this has bought them a lot of time. That whole Widow ultimate buys them time. And
Yep.
2 minutes now on the clock for the Melbourne Mavericks. It was looking good at the start, but
Thing is, like, I don't think it really matters how much time there is per se, because we know it's always going to get into overtime. EMP is used by Nidus. It'll collect up onto Ike, who will fall. Also hit Fundray, who also goes down. It seems the Transcendence came in a little too late from Lab. Also doesn't even get there in time to save Rani. It'll at least be the end of Dank with the whole hog, helped out, of course, by Zenyatta. There was Noosh, and gets a great hook on through. Maybe this is still salvageable for Legacy if they can get the touch on in there, which they will. Noosh is there. Stolen Picnic to heal him on up. Take a breather. Is invested. And it just seems to
Rani's
be
back too now.
a bit of a mess here for Melbourne Mavericks. They haven't found enough picks. And unfortunately, that means the end of their offense.
Yeah, Noosh really turning the fight there, getting that kill on Dank before he got his ultimate off on that whole hog in the cafe, and then getting the one shot onto the Zenyatta player Morbid, who's closing in on his Transcendence at the time. You can't really call a fight one until that Roadhog goes down, because he's got such great pick potential.
Look at this absolute shambles that Esports found himself in. Has managed to get bailed out by his team.
They have managed to build up another EMP, and they do have the Dragon Blade to go with it now. No nano boost, but they have the right ultimates to take this point, with Legacy not having any ultimates available.
Well, as I said, I don't think it matters how much time necessarily there is. As long as Melbourne Mavericks actually cap the point out, they're going to be pushing it overtime regardless, but they pretty much need to cap it now. EMP, it's a good one. 5 players. Mercedes down to 40 HP as he pulls the Dragon Blade out, but that doesn't seem to be an issue at all. It's going to be 3 kills here, just as he's able to finish Lab off before Stolen Picnic gets there with the heals. And the cap does indeed just go through for Melbourne Mavericks. So now it's game on. 16 seconds, again, irrelevant. Overtime push is the name of the game for Melbourne Mavericks.
Lush managing to escape with his life, but he did feed a lot of ultimate percentage over to Nidus. He's up at 56% already. Ike with the Widow Wall's advantage here could be what they need to find out the information. We'll stop Nidus' flank, stop Mercedes as well.
Well, this is the point where he popped off before.
And he do it again. He's got all the advantage of Mercedes in the bin already.
1 down. How many more? We've got potentially 4 to catch the 5 that he got on the last point. One's stolen away by Lab, so we'll see whether or not Ike can do the rest. Seems like it's unnecessary. Whole hog will demech flying Luigi's, and then she's able to kill Nidus, just being an absolute rock on the payload. And that is map number 3, going the way of Legacy. I can't believe I'm saying that. But here we are, 2-1 now for Legacy after they go through to the time bank with 1 minute, cap the whole map, and bam.
If I'm Legacy, I'm telling Noosh to stay on that Roadhog for the rest of the season, because he's been performing very admirably on that. And Ike's Widowmaker to complement it, it's been quite powerful.
I think Fundray with the Arista as well. The Halt Hook combos from Fundray and Noosh has been pretty impeccable. I mean, you see a few miss, but that's like, you're going to get that, right?
Happens. Yeah.
But by and large, they've been big, impactful hooks, and even when the Halt hasn't been available, when Noosh has had to do it kind of on his own, he's been able to clutch up.
Yep,
It's
certainly.
been pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, and Fundray's shield positioning's been good too, to allow him to, anchor the point, make him an object that the rest of the team can play around and the enemy team has to play into. And that's kind of the role of the Arista, is to, be the central bunker point of the composition, and Fundray's done it pretty well today.
So far, so good for Legacy. Losing the first map, a bit disappointing, but now they're back on track to finish this series off with a 3-1. Volskaya, very, very commanding win for Legacy, and to me, you probably can put Hollywood in that as well. I think that was a pretty commanding win from Legacy.
Yeah, I think they got their lines crossed a little bit when they were swapping heroes on the first defense, which allowed that big time bank to come through from the side of Melbourne Mavericks, but they really got their stuff together on that second offense, and that really carried them through. Even the second defense looked a lot more solid from the side of Legacy. They got off that funky composition with the 2's main tanks, and they really showed a lot more promise on this composition that we haven't seen a lot of in Australian contenders, but I think we're going to be able to see a lot more.
Only a couple of weeks left of Overwatch Contenders. It's going to be over before it feels like it's begun. We're really ramping up into the season, and unfortunately there's not too much of it left to go. This was, probably has to be the play of the game at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe. I don't know. We could see something special on Havana. That is a Widow map. Teams have played the bunker as well. At this point, definitely the play of the game. Ike has been popping off, and he says publicly that he loves playing those DPS heroes, the Tracer, the Widowmaker, and I'm glad he's got the opportunity to show us his skills on them.
Yeah, me too. But as you say, Havana is going to be the next map. Now, that's one where we saw Husk going a little bit crazy with Widowmaker yesterday. Is there something in the cooking pot?
I think there is. I think that Ike, after feeling that Widowmaker, once you start playing Widowmaker and you start getting all these kills, you start feeling yourself and you just want to pick that hero all the time. Happens to me in matchmaking. You get 2 kills on the trot and you're like, you know what? Next map, just gonna play Widow.
I don't know if I want to hear too much about
absolutely-
you feeling yourself, Smash, but that's all right. We'll start thinking about this next one for Melbourne Mavericks, though. I mean, Mercedes as well. He likes to pick that Widowmaker up. That's something that we might see thrown in as well.
He certainly does, and you were mentioning at the start of Hollywood that he was getting the better of Ike, and that kind of awoken Ike in a sense.
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah, and so Mercedes is no slouch. He can take it to Ike on this Widow battle, and if it comes down to it on Havana, I don't know which way it's going to go.
To be fair, he was getting the better of Ike.
Oh, he
on the
definitely
first
was
map.
at the start, yeah.
So I don't feel unjustified in saying that. But now, if I had to revert my expectations, I would feel like I'm doing a disservice if I didn't say it. I thought it would be Ike, actually, to find the advantage in that respect. But hey, look, moving over onto Havana again, I think for Legacy there is the real possibility of finishing this one off 3-1. You know, it was obviously a poor start on Ilios, but all the momentum that Melbourne Mavericks might have gained off of Ilios, we thought, oh, it's going to be back now with the Hollywood time that they took, and then all of a sudden Legacy just rips it away from them. So I think actually now this is probably the lowest point in the series for Melbourne Mavericks, at least in terms of mentality speaking.
Well, they got that taste of victory on Ilios, and they probably thought they got that taste of victory on Hollywood when they had that massive time bank, but it just snatched away from them. Havana, interesting map. We saw it go very close in both of our series yesterday. Could we see it go close again?
Well, it was finished both times from both sides yesterday.
Certainly was. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I'm Legacy, I want to win this map more than anything in my life because I do not want to see Nepal loading screen.
No, definitely not.
0-7 so far in control. It would be so
0-8.
heartbreaking if they went 0-8 and lost this series.
That would be pretty devastating indeed. I don't really get the sense that we're going to go to Nepal. But if we do actually go to Nepal, then I'd probably back Melbourne Mavericks, honestly.
After seeing Ilios, yeah, you'd have to. I mean, the stats don't lie. 0-7 is an
Well, to be fair,
incredible stat.
Melbourne Mavericks up to this point had not won a map of control either.
But they hadn't won a map in general. Whereas Legacy were winning the back half of the series, but, you know, really faltering in the first half.
That's just BM Smash. Basically just saying Melbourne Mavericks is bad in general and Legacy's just bad at control.
Well, they've certainly proved that they're not bad with this result. I mean, they get the full cap on Hollywood. And Legacy is no slouch of a team. They've been bringing it to the
You're
top
a rude
dogs.
dude, you know that? Rude dude.
Oh, guilty as charged, but I think in this sense, I'm all right.
I'm all right. That's what he reckons.
Bundre has stolen Ike's Widow. Now that is newsworthy.
Breaking news from Smash, lead reporter of the WA Times.
I don't think there is a paper called the WA Times,
Neither
actually.
do I.
Yeah. But Fundre's stolen it and he refuses to give it back. Get off it.
Ike's not happy about it, is he?
No, he's not. He's refusing to pick a hero.
Andre's like, come on, alright, dude, I'm lining up some shots. Ike's just like,
Ike,
come on, dude, you can't even shoot through those windows.
it took him a half a second to swap to that Widowmaker. He had his finger on the trigger straight away, ready to go. He's really enjoying himself at the moment.
Give it to me, give me my Widowmaker.
And that's pretty much what they sound like. It's
Sounds
very
like
young,
yeah, my matchmaking games.
Yeah.
I'm playing Genji this whole game, guys. Oh, cool. Fundre got absolutely decked, by the way, walking out of the spawn doors.
He walked into 2 snipers crosshairs, and that's not very fun as a tank player.
But this is a more passive defense than Melbourne Mavericks, or than we've really seen at all, actually.
Yeah, they're just using this long sightline, and I'm glad to see Flying Luigi's on the Roadhog. I think that's been missing in this series so far. They haven't answered the Hog versus Hog, and it can be quite hard to win that Orisa versus Orisa composition
But that's
battle.
stealth sniping from Ike. Mercedes looking for the crossfire angle. Doesn't seem he's going to get it now. Has been spotted by Ike as well.
We could be here a while, Jordan.
We could indeed. It's going to be a long road forward. That's a good shot from Mercedes. And just as you feel like Ike's getting the better of him, you start seeing some shots coming from Mercedes, which make you think otherwise.
Nush managed to get the pick, and again the second pick. He's really popping off on this Hog today.
Ooh. I could have spotted Mercedes in the peripheral vision there, but not interested in taking the aim duel.
Well, he's terrified at the moment, isn't he? He actually
Well, is he?
gets shot, but doesn't get the headshot to take him down.
Doing Tarzan. Give me your best Tarzan impression, Smash.
I certainly will not, just for the sake of
Bang your
keeping my
chest.
job.
Scream a little bit. Mercedes is in all sorts of trouble, and I was going to be amazed if Mercedes would have been able to survive there.
Hey, Rani and Nush getting a lot of kills there to push this cart forward. It felt like there wasn't much impact from Mike.
Moosh is putting some good work in here, pushing on forward as the Dragon Strike sort of puts him out of position just a little bit, but he's okay. And now an answering Dragon Strike from Rani. It's not going to get any kills, but it provides the space for Legacy that they need. As we cap point A up, I feel it's important, Smash, to point out, I guess this is a good talking point for our pause here. Legacy have yet to lose a map 4.
They have.
This has been their map 4 wonders. Or
Yep, they're excellent on escort.
Yeah.
And Ike going down there to Esports again, I think Esports just paused the game to give him a bit of BM in the chat. And that's what I do when I get that final kill in the fight, where it doesn't matter, but you just got to drop the BM.
Well, you got to take any glory you can as a Lucio main, don't you?
Yeah, you pretty much
happen
do.
too often.
Unless you're Frogger, and then you're getting kills all the time.
No, I don't think so. I've never seen any.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not like he puts a montage highlight clip on Twitter every single day.
Oh, you got to give the fans what they want.
Yeah.
At the moment, Legacy are giving their fans what they want. They're playing this bunker composition. They've bunkered up on the cart. They're playing the double snipers, and they're getting a very quick time at the moment. 4 minutes 38 on the clock. Fundra's used his bongo, though.
We have seen things slow down into Phase B as well.
Yeah, we have. And Phase B, the angles really open up, so you can get behind that Orisa shield to do damage. So I think that Nidus might find a little more fortune there, because it looked like on the start he didn't really have much of an impact on that Hanzo.
No one can hide.
It's looking pretty easy peasy for Legacy right now. Oh, well, that is not fun for Flying Luigi's. He thought he hit the hook, and then he got cancelled because he went around the cover, and then he gets hooked, and, well, we're straight back with it. It's Mercedes now. Come on, Ike. You've got a bit of trouble on your hands.
Mercedes is certainly winning this map in the terms of the Widow Duel. Ike's disappeared almost after that epic performance, and Lab now going for the ending frag, but he doesn't get it, so the card has been stalled up here. The Orisa ultimate coming out, the Mercy ultimate coming out, and that Mercy ultimate is quite powerful in this composition because she can get the AoE splash damage boost, and that can shred through the enemy Orisa shield and really give you the advantage going into it.
Starting to get a bit interesting now. Melbourne Mavericks put in a good performance on the defense here of Havana.
This Dragon Strike could be important. Comes out now.
No halt to follow with it. Transcenders will be forced though. Easy Boy would have died. Transcenders out on Legacy side as well from Lab, which came later. It's hard to say. Neither seems to have had the biggest of impacts. At least it hasn't allowed either team to push forward and get a kill off the back of the extra healing. Mercedes once again is going to find Ike, and now you start to think for Ike, maybe it's going to be time to start thinking about swapping off. The revive comes through for Ike, and Rani and Fundray, the ones doing the damage this time.
Yeah, we've seen Rani and Fundray doing a lot of damage on this map already, getting all the kills, it seems, between them and Nush. Ike, he's running a distraction. This is what he's doing. Right? He's causing Mercedes to get into positions, unfavorable positions.
Is that what you told your team every time you fed?
Most certainly have.
I'm just running a distraction, dude.
Space created for his friends.
It's like what I used to say. I'm just a support. I'm here to help.
That's basically it. That's your job. But running with another Dragon Strike. If you can scout this, yeah, he has scouted it. The Dragons are just a little bit too late. The Suck comes in, and now the Roadhog ultimate to combo it up with, but it's a 2-for-2 trade.
Well, you say it's a little too late. I think it was decent timing, at least, to keep Legacy and Melbourne Mavericks sort of splitting themselves. Regardless, it's Noosh that's doing the damage right now, and Ike, he does get the better of the Mercedes off the res. It's like Noosh is already celebrating.
It looks like he's having a good time playing Roadhog today. He's been stuck on D.Va for such a long time, he's probably enjoying it. Got a change of scenery. Ike now with those Widow walls. Gives you the advantage in the 1v1 versus Mercedes. It seems like he's needed at this map too.
I think the score is about 3-1 right now on Havana.
No one can hide.
It's a lot of time for Legacy to push in here. Oh, I thought he has gone off the map, yeah. Mercedes!
I was just thinking, like, there's nowhere
there.
So that's a pretty big mistake, in all honesty. Bad time to go off the map. Nidus and Issy Boy are able to do a little bit of damage, which may slow down Legacy just a little bit. Transcendence comes very aggressively forced there by Issy Boy. The res comes across onto Nidus, and it may actually work out here for Melbourne Mavericks, but Legacy have a Transcendence of their own. Issy Boy's caught off guard totally, and Morbid will also fall to Noosh. That's a 3k for him. Once again, Ike gets Mercedes.
And Mercedes just popped the walls there and goes down to Ike, so he won't have that for the next fight. Noosh saving the fight there for isolating those squishies and getting the kills on.
Once again, they're back into another attempt for Legacy. Flying Luigi's will have whole hog, but Rani gets his counterpart. Sniper's still trying to line up some headshots. Nothing really coming for either Mercedes or Ike in that fight.
With Nush going down, I think that Legacy don't want to go too aggressive here. Although Rani has got the pick onto Esports, so the Stolen going down means it's going to be very difficult for Legacy to push in here. And it looks like Melbourne Mavericks are going to try and get these stagger kills and get some aggression back into them. They've been forced all the way back into their spawn, but now they're pushed out and looking a lot better.
It's a pretty tough angle to cross though for Legacy. She's being harassed by a double sniper setup. It's like we're almost going back to Season 2 meta.
Almost certainly looks like it. As we see these very long sight lines on the back of Havana at the end of the map, and Mercedes walks into the crosshair, but he will get rezzed. Lab on the meantime has killed Dank, and Flying Luigi's answered onto Nush, but will it be enough? Oh, Ike's on fire now. Back half of this map, he's really come alive.
Straight away though, as soon as we start giving him some credit, gets smacked in the face by Hanzo Arrow. Is it going to matter though for Legacy? They continue the payload push on forward. Melbourne Mavericks really relying on Flying Luigi's to buy that time as much as possible. Dank might have overcommitted here. The Fortify is going to help out, that's for sure. And so will the Dragon Strike. Stolen Picnic actually falls to Mercedes. But there's still so many numbers there for Legacy on this point. Noosh has to reload. Nina still will die. Morbid charging on through, trying to get the contest. It's Izzy Boy with Transcendence that was doing the majority of the work in that department. The two tanks come back now for Melbourne Mavericks. So maybe a little bit more time to be bought here, particularly with that whole hog SMG life for Ike.
He can't find Luigi's, and now he has to deal with Mercedes. The fight's over, and Ike's trying to run out of there. Get out of there, young man. He's walked off the map. No, he hasn't. Oh, jeez.
Settle down, Smash. It's not that bad.
Oh,
Trying to put him, throw him under the bus.
I really thought he was off into the drink there. Mercedes now at those widow walls. Time has elapsed. Legacy throwing away a 3-minute time bag, it seems.
Let the Dragon consume you. It's Dragon Strike actually from Legacy. Catches Morbid somehow. Not what you'd want to be seeing as Melbourne Mavericks, at least a trade back from Flying Luigi's, but now comes Noosh with the whole hog and doing some good solid damage. Still can't deal with the crossfire between Nidus and Mercedes as he drops to the Hanzo Arrow, but the rest of Legacy is still there to pick up the pieces. And even though we do go through to overtime, Legacy will cap out all 3 points.
And that's the important thing. We've seen what they can do with a minute. I mean, if they can do anything like that on the second offense, if they need it, that is. It's quite a hard map to cap out Havana. That third point, very hard to deal with those long sight lines. If you get reset once, then retaking is very difficult versus those double sniper comps, which we saw there. Melbourne Mavericks ending up taking 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes 20 off the clock in that final defense. Tell you what, it's been good fun, hasn't it? Had double snipers come out, the Roadhogs come out.
It's been a pretty fun series.
Yeah, it certainly has.
But is it going to be much fun for Melbourne Mavericks if they lose 1 and 3? You can take heart in the fact that at least you've avoided the 0 and 28 season, but a 1 and 27 season still doesn't feel quite there yet.
No, it doesn't look much better, does it? It doesn't win you anything going 1 and 27. As it looks like they've resigned themselves to the same composition. Nush has actually selected the May here, so maybe this is a first composition type deal where they come out, they start on this composition and then they swap it over, but Legacy, they've gone to the composition that unseeded order from Athletico. And Nush has played a lot of May in the past too. I think he's one of the ones that have been trying to make this hero work for a very long time.
Bit of a May main. You're a bit of a May yourself.
Oh, that hero's horrible. No.
No.
Fun ruiner. So let's see how Melbourne Mavericks deal with this early hold here from Legacy Esports. Seems like they'll push around the side. Stolen on the wall once more.
Flying Luigi's back onto the far up.
Yeah, that's a good hero pick versus composition. Nidus has been caught out though, frozen and stunned, and he goes down quickly.
Sadie's still looking for some picks. Stolen has spotted that out now, so the information should be given to Legacy, and indeed it is, as Fundray turns the shield accordingly. A charge on through. Mercedes.
Oh,
what? Don't know what happened there.
Welcome to Grappling Hook, my man.
It's like he grappled into a vacuum and it spat him back out.
Has in that early Moira ultimate coming through. It's going to be able to punish the isolated.
Ooh, good headshot from Noosh.
He's going to punish. I was about to say punish Dank, who's isolated, but he's managed to survive, and now the fight turns.
It certainly does. Lab might be running out of some charge here. hold down the right click, but inevitably does fall. Still, there's players on the cart contesting, and that is good news for Legacy. Blizzard goes out, I think, or might have just been cancelled. Either way, it's not too big of a deal.
With his dying breath, he threw it out and he's lost it. But we see Legacy now they're swapping over to that bunker composition. So they bought themselves a minute off the clock. But they will swap over eventually to the composition that they've shown a liking to. Rani has gone into the Ash, so he was kind of trying to counter the Pharah there. As Ike approaches around the corner.
What am I watching?
That was very cute, very dangerous, but very cute.
Luckily for Ike, he doesn't get cleaned up by Mercedes. I suppose you're probably not
Try
expecting
again.
to see that. Oh, wow. It's not a good feeling for Mercedes at all. Unresable as well, because Ike continues to push the issue. If Morbid tried it, he would have gone down as well. It means the crossfire setup is here for Ike, but can't really connect any of the shots. And Fundray will fall, so the front line is lost, particularly with Noosh now being down as well. Legacy are going to need something special to hold point A.
Mercedes has swapped over to the Tracer, but that drum from Dank going unpunished. Ike had the line of sight on it, so he could have finished it off. It was on very low health, and that just allowed Flying Luigi's to tear through the opposition. As Mercedes swaps back to Widowmaker. So we do have the Ike versus Mercedes duel.
Continuing.
It's been pretty even so far, actually, despite Ike getting a few flashy shots. So Mercedes got the better of him on that offense on the side of Legacy.
Dragon Strike for Flying Luigi, straight into a big chunk of Legacy players. If this doesn't get a kill, it's going to be pretty special from Legacy. They actually all get out. Fundray went very damn low.
He's patient, Mike. He's very patient, but he's about to find a Hanzo, and he doesn't want to see that.
Not in a close range angle like that. Ike still needs to be careful here. There's going to be arrows whizzing around his head and at his teammates as well. Flying Luigi's actually does get caught by the poison, as the damage over time does tick on him. Not too big of a deal. Ike this time will lose the battle against Mercedes, but Rani, Lab, they've also chimed in with one apiece. Stolen Picnic looking for the res, just gets out of there alive. I'm not sure how he's got any health to his name, but he does. And that might be a turning point in the fight. That said, very quickly Lab dies to Mercedes. Flying Luigi's get Stolen Picnic, so both of the healers now out of the picture for Legacy.
Legacy aren't contesting the cart, really. Nobody is. Ike has returned from the grave, and he gets the answering kill onto Mercedes. And now Dank, with no shield down, very vulnerable, goes down to the Ike-Nush combination.
Res came across onto Mercedes, but infra sight for Ike here. So, for some picks.
They have been reset, pushed all the way back, and now it becomes difficult to get in with these spawns all the way. But Mercedes finds a pixel-perfect angle to take out Ike. That will set Legacy back a bit.
Definitely not an easy shot to hit. Legacy, though, do at least have a solid position to hold this defense. Hook goes straight into nothing, really, for Legacy. So it's unfortunate. Sounds like both of the superchargers do go down, as does a Dragon Strike through from Flying Luigi's, which won't really collect a whole lot. Noosh down low. Again, the take a breather helps him on back up. The hook to find the first pick of this fight for Legacy. Lab the second with a headshot onto Arissa. Mercedes having a real big problem. Still, it's a great shot onto Ike, but there was no getting out of there alive.
These two have been gunning for each other for the best part of an hour now, and they're still going at it. Like, it's unbelievable. It feels like every fight, they're just looking for each other to take the ego battle, the duel.
It's pretty hard to kind of put anything between them at this point. I think you kind of have to say this has been a 50-50.
It certainly has. It has been so entertaining to watch. Legacy getting the better of it, though, at the moment, as they've managed to stall the Melbourne Mavericks out here for quite a while.
Have indeed. Stolen Picnic does drop fairly low, but he's okay for now. Healing on back up. Dragon Strike in the back pocket for Rani.
They're using this high ground very well on the side of Legacy. They got this crossfire, and the Dragon does the damage, but Fundray gets the kill credit.
Well, it's Fundray again that gets the kill. Like, Izzy Boy got tagged by an arrow, and Fundray just tickles him. Tickles him to death. Forward hold now for Legacy. Oh, see you, Mercedes. There's another sniper here that you're going to have to deal with.
Certainly is, and we've seen Rani be playing very well in this Hanzo so far too. He's very good on the offense.
Perhaps on the defense too.
Yeah, he has been. And now Legacy are in the situation that you love to be in with this bunker composition. You found yourself a high ground and you're sitting on it with your Arissa. All the fellas are around you. Ike might be on the flank somewhere. No, he isn't. He's with the boys at the moment.
Smash loves a bit of the time with the fellas.
Certainly do.
All the boys. Bolts through from Melbourne Mavericks. Doesn't seem to have collected any of the Legacy players. Certainly no one got hooked off of the back of it. Ike with infra sight. is kind of spawn camping Morbid. Not able to do anything there. Great hook from Noosh right onto the player you'd want it. The whole hog is cancelled as a result. Transcendence also goes through from Melbourne Mavericks. Every single ult really has gone through from both sides. The last one being the Dragon Strike there from Melbourne Mavericks. But time is starting to run out for them now. 20 seconds and the Dragon Strike from Rani is going to do much more damage than that of Flying Luigi's. It's once again Legacy Esports that will find an advantage toward the late stages of a fight. And 10 seconds now for Melbourne Mavericks. They need to get their running shoes on.
Morbid swapping over to Lucio. Nida swapping over to the Wrecking Ball just to get the touch, but will they be able to get there in time? It doesn't seem like it. It seems like the Lucio was caught off in the background and prevented from touching the point, which means Legacy Esports will claim the win. And he'll claim the series win too, 3-1.
Bit of an anticlimactic one toward the end there with no one being able to get onto the cart. But for Legacy, it's a hugely important series win, 3-1. For Melbourne Mavericks, a little bit of a shining light, you know, a silver lining to the cloud there where they do get a map win, but the series still goes the way of Legacy, which basically marks the end now of the season for Melbourne Mavericks.
Yeah, I think it's all over but the crying for the Melbourne Mavericks at the moment. I don't think they can make playoffs unless they get the last 2 weeks
technically,
of wins.
mathematically, it is possible, but we theorized that if you're in 8th place and you can't beat 7th, you probably aren't going to beat anyone else.
No, certainly
Same
not.
for 7th, but luckily Legacy at least are able to win that series, which means they need to get a win against, I'd say probably Atletico. Might be their best shot.
I think that could be a very important matchup for the end of the season standings, especially if Atletico lose our next series, but that will be coming up in a minute as we see these highlights. And there were plenty of them in this series. Nush had an exceptional performance on the Roadhog actually. After being locked on D.Va for so long, he unleashes the Roadhog. He must have been playing that one a lot in matchmaking because he looked clean on it.
He certainly did. Really good stuff. Obviously the standout being probably Ike and Noosh, I think, from Legacy.
Yeah, certainly were head and shoulders above the rest. Well, probably not head and shoulders, but they were pretty powerful. See all these Widow kills. There's so many of them. This one was cheeky, but
that one almost you feel pretty good about. You know, even though you're literally in a position where you're 100% dead, but you take someone with you.
You take it out the enemy Widowmaker with you, so you get the bragging rights, and that's important. Right? Important in any Overwatch, in any competitive game, is you get the bragging rights over your opposite number.
Well, there we have the way that the series played out. After Ilios, we were getting a little bit worried for Legacy and wondering how the rest of that series was going to end up. But in the end, the 3-1 for Legacy, probably not what they were looking for. I would have gone into this series as Legacy thinking a 4-0 would be the pass score, but really a win is what was needed by Legacy. They have, in a way, kind of got the maps that they actually need on the board already. They're only one map win behind now. Actually, technically, they're ahead of Order, I think. Maybe not quite. Maybe they're about even.
The map series. I think the map series, the score is even.
The score is even, which is so crazy because Order's even got still a series win.
I think they have 2 series wins above Legacy, yet the same map score. So that's interesting.
So it's not like Legacy are in a position where they're like, oh, we lost a map, now we're going to be really in trouble for the playoffs contention. It's all about the series wins for Legacy.
Yeah, it is definitely all about the series wins. And the way this plays out is, you know, the head-to-head first, of how many series wins first, and then map wins. So Legacy, if they can string another series, maybe that Atletico game you mentioned, and they could sneak into that top 6.
Well, Smash, it's time for your favorite part of the night, Macca's play of the game. It's Legacy Esports and Melbourne Mavericks, the Macca's play of the game. Who else can it go to but Ike with a 5k on the Widowmaker?
Yeah, he certainly showed up today, showing he loves to play those DPS heroes, and he certainly earned the right to pick Widowmaker here. Sometimes, you know, you look at players and they fluff a few shots on Widow and you tell them, get off Widow, but he certainly couldn't be told to get off Widow today. He was so on point, especially on this Hollywood map. He was instrumental in getting that 6-point cap.
I think you could have probably pulled up a few from Havana there as well, but really was backwards and forwards on that the fourth map from between Mercedes and Ike, but definitely good stuff on the Widowmaker from him. We've already talked quite extensively about Noosh on Roadhog. It's a good result from Legacy being able to get that 3-1, but still has to be said, more work to be done in the future for Legacy here. They can't rest on the laurels and say, hey, we've got one win. You've got to get that magic too.
Yeah, the hard part is yet to come too. They were expecting to get the 4-0 over Melbourne Mavericks. Melbourne Mavericks show some fight and Legacy falter on King of the Hill once more. They need to get that. If they want to beat Atletico, they need to show up on this Koth map and really put it to them, because you can't be giving up these maps for free.
Well, that'll be all for us next week. For now, though, we do still have one more series to round out this week. We're going to head to a quick break. One more game coming up after this.